My name is Frank Holloway. I am 78 years old now, and this is what slowly destroyed my life, without ever feeling like a mistake. I want to start with an honest confession. There was no single major event that ruined my life, no dramatic tragedy, no sudden downfall. There was only a series of small decisions, seemingly safe, seemingly reasonable, seemingly mature. And that's precisely why I never stopped. Many people think lives are ruined by bad choices. I'm here to say something different. My life fell apart because I chose safety too often. I was born in 1947. It's now 2025. When I look back, everything seems so neat on the surface. Adequate education, stable job, never truly poor, never truly failed, but also never truly lived. I only realized it when it was all over. I was raised in a middle-class family. My father worked in a government office. My mother was a housewife. From a young age, I was taught one thing that was always repeated: don't take unnecessary risks. Life isn't about big dreams, my father said, but about survival. That sounded wise when I was a child, and I carried it with me everywhere. At school, I wasn't the standout student. My grades were decent, but never exceptional. I never went against the grain. I chose a safe major. While my friends talked about passion, about wanting to be artists, writers, or entrepreneurs, I chose accounting. Not because I loved it, but because it was stable. I graduated from college in 1969 at the age of 22. At that time, the world was changing. Many young people talked about freedom, about pursuing the meaning of life. But I felt all that was dangerous. I took the first job offer that came along at a small logistics company. I remember my first day at work clearly. I wasn't enthusiastic, but I felt relieved. Relieved because I didn't have to ask, what's next? And without realizing it, that sense of relief became an addiction. In 1972, I was 25 years old. I was still working at the same company. My salary increased little by little. My life looked good to others, but something was bothering me. Every morning I woke up feeling flat, not sad, not happy, just going through the motions. At that age, I actually had a great opportunity. An old friend invited me to join him in starting our own delivery business. He already had a few small clients. He needed a partner who understood finance. I was the right person. I remember that conversation very clearly. He said, "This might fail, but if it succeeds, we can be free." I replied with a sentence I now regret: "I'm not ready to take the risk." That year, I refused. He went ahead on his own. 5 years later, his company was thriving. I was still at the same office, sitting at the same desk, filling out the same reports. At the time, I told myself I had chosen safety. I had chosen maturity. But deep down, a voice began to ask, is this the life I want? I ignored it. In 1977, I was 30 years old. I got a small promotion, a new position, more responsibility, a slight raise. Everyone congratulated me. I congratulated myself too. But honestly, I felt no pride, only a thicker sense of security. I got married at the age of 31, not because of burning love, but because it was time. We lived well. There were no major conflicts. There was no great happiness either. Everything was average. At the age of 35 in 1982, I began to feel tired. Not physically tired, but mentally tired. Every life decision felt predetermined. I knew exactly how my day would unfold even before waking up. I once considered quitting my job and taking a long leave of absence just to find my direction. But I was afraid of losing my position, afraid of being seen as unprofessional, afraid of not being able to return. So I persevered. Again. And here's the part that people rarely talk about. When life is good enough, we often feel we have no reason to change. But that is precisely the biggest reason. 1987. I was 40 years old. The world of work was changing. Many new companies were emerging. Technology was starting to take hold. I saw another opportunity. This time it came from within the company itself. There was a new project that was risky but promising. I was offered the chance to lead a small team. If I failed, my reputation could be ruined. If I succeeded, I could rise quickly. I asked for time to think. I went home. I discussed it with my wife. We agreed, don't take the risk. My position was already good enough. I turned down the offer. A few years later, the project was a huge success. The person who led the team became a director. I remained in my position, a little more senior, a little more respected, but no more alive. At the age of 45, I began to notice a pattern. Every time life gave me a choice between safety and growth, I always chose safety. And every time I justified that choice with logic. I told myself, not everyone has to be great. Not everyone has to leave a mark. Now I know that wasn't humility. It was fear. 1997. I was 50 years old. Many people call it the age of stability. For me, it was an uncomfortable age of reflection. The children were growing up. They asked about dreams, about what they wanted to pursue. And every time they asked, I was at a loss for words, because I myself had never pursued anything. I gave them the same advice my father had given me. Seek safety. Seek stability. And at one point I stopped mid-sentence. I realized I was passing on my own fear. At 55, I experienced work exhaustion. The doctor called it burnout. I took a short leave, sat at home. For the first time in my life, I was truly silent. And in that silence, the old question returned. If not now, when? I almost quit my job then. Almost. But almost never changes anyone's life. I went back to work. Again. I retired in 2012 at the age of 65. Many people celebrated. I felt empty. Suddenly there was no schedule, no reports, no meetings. All that remained was me and my thoughts. And my thoughts were unkind. I tried a few small things, writing, gardening, but everything felt half-hearted. I realized I had never trained myself to take risks, even in small things. At 68, I told myself, I'll start something I truly want. But I didn't know what that was. Because for decades, I never asked. And this is a difficult admission. When you play it safe for too long, you can lose the ability to recognize your own desires. Now I'm 78. Many of my friends are gone. Many opportunities are closed. I'm not saying my life has been entirely bad. I'm grateful for many things. But if I'm honest, there's one feeling that lingers. A quiet, unobtrusive, but constant regret. I regret not because I failed. I regret because I never truly tried. I regret because I let the feeling of safety replace the feeling of living. Because I waited for the right time, which never came. And here's the part that might intrigue you. I only realized my biggest mistake not when I was old, but when it was already too late to fix anything. If you hear this story and feel a little uncomfortable, it's no coincidence. That discomfort is a sign. My advice is simple, but not easy. Don't wait until life forces you to change. Take a small risk now. Not a foolish one, but one that's honest with yourself. Ask yourself, am I choosing this because I want it, or because I'm afraid of losing my sense of security? Because time doesn't steal our lives. We give it away, slowly, for the sake of security. I'm Frank Holloway, and this is the lesson I learned too late.